Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The sterile silence of Memorial Hospital's maternity ward was suffocating. White walls, soft beeping monitors, and the faint smell of antiseptic made the air thick with grief and dread. Outside Lily's room, Kane stood like a stone statue, unmoving, arms folded tightly across his chest, face pale and unreadable. He hadn't spoken in nearly an hour, not since the doctor came out and quietly told him what no parent ever wants to hear. Inside, Lily lay still, her body curled slightly on the hospital bed, her face turned to the window as if looking for an escape. The once strong woman now looked small, vulnerable, and utterly hollow. Tear trails streaked her cheeks, but her eyes no longer shed tears. They were dry, empty, as if she had nothing left to cry. And just down the hallway, Amy stood alone, pressed against a cold tiled wall, shaking. Her arms wrapped tightly around herself like a child trying to hold in the unbearable truth. She had done this. She had caused this. The words Lily had screamed at her still echoed in her ears. You killed my baby. You killed Damian's child. How could you, Amy? Amy had pleaded, begged, tried to explain, but nothing could undo what had happened. Nothing could bring back the tiny life that had been growing inside Lily, the only piece of Damian left in this world. And now it was gone, because of her. Because of a moment of carelessness, of recklessness, of jealousy-fueled rage she couldn't even justify anymore. She stumbled into the bathroom, locked the door, and collapsed against it, her sobs exploding from her throat like a dam finally breaking. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't think. Her mind kept replaying the scene like a tormentor. Lily screaming in pain, blood on the floor, Kane's voice yelling for help, nurses rushing in, and then the cold, brutal confirmation. Miscarriage. Gone. Forever. Amy rocked herself back and forth on the floor, her nails digging into her skin as punishment, trying to claw away the guilt that gnawed at her like a ravenous beast. She hadn't meant for it to go this far. She only wanted Lily to back off, to leave Genoa City even for a while, to stop clinging to Damian's ghost. Amy had convinced herself that Lily was the reason Damian was dead, even though deep down she knew it wasn't true. Still, when she saw Lily walking alone in Chancellor Park that day, everything inside her boiled over. Their argument had escalated fast, harsh words, shoving, and then Lily stumbling back, slipping on the uneven pavement. It was such a stupid thing, so avoidable. Amy had tried to grab her, but it was too late. Lily had fallen hard, and within seconds she had clutched her stomach in agonizing pain. The screams, the blood, the sirens. Amy had followed the ambulance to the hospital in shock, unable to process what she'd done. And now, it was real. The baby was gone. She slid down further on the tile floor, pressing her forehead to the cold surface as if trying to cool the firestorm raging in her mind. The baby had been Damian's. His one chance to leave something good behind. And she destroyed it. Suddenly, the door rattled. A soft voice on the other side. Amy, it's Nate. Open the door. She didn't answer. Amy, please. Let me in. She wiped her face with her sleeve, but her eyes were still red and swollen. When she opened the door, Nate stepped in slowly, his expression grim but not unkind. He didn't say anything at first. Just looked at her, eyes heavy with disappointment and pity. You okay? He asked softly, though they both knew the answer. Amy shook her head, tears threatening again. She lost the baby. Nate. I did this. I ruined everything. He took a deep breath. Yes, she lost the baby. And it's bad. Really bad. But Amy, what the hell were you thinking going after Lily like that? I didn't mean for this to happen, she whispered. But it did happen, he snapped, his voice rising before he caught himself. You let your jealousy drive you to violence. Do you even understand what you've done? This was Damian's child, Amy. Lily may never recover from this. Kane's already talking to the police. Amy's heart stopped. Police? Yes. Assault on a pregnant woman. If they press charges, you could be looking at jail time. She turned away, horrified. I was angry. She always made me feel like I didn't belong in Damian's life. Nate leaned against the sink, staring at the floor. That's not a reason to take away an innocent life. I didn't want this. She let out a choked sob. I just wanted Damian back. The words hung in the air like poison. I loved him too, she added, quieter now. Maybe not the way she did, but he mattered to me. And when he died, I lost it. Watching her try to move on without him, act like she still had a piece of him in her womb, it made me feel like I didn't matter anymore. Nate finally looked at her. This wasn't about you, Amy. It was never about you. Those words were a slap to the soul. He walked away without another word, leaving Amy to crumble once again. Later that evening, Amy finally mustered the courage to knock on Lily's hospital room door. There was no answer, but it was open a crack. She pushed it gently and peeked in. Lily was awake but still lying in bed, staring at the ceiling like a statue. Kane sat beside her, holding her hand with a tenderness Amy hadn't seen in years. They looked like they'd aged 10 years in one day. When Lily saw Amy, her face changed instantly from hollow to fury. You have some nerve coming in here, she spat. Amy took a step inside, trembling. Lily, I just wanted to say how sorry I am. I never meant. Don't. Lily's voice was razor sharp. Don't say you didn't mean it. You pushed me. You were angry, you were cruel, and now my baby is gone. I was jealous. I was broken. I wasn't thinking, Amy whispered. Lily sat up slightly, her eyes blazing with tears and rage. You were thinking. You were thinking about yourself. You hated that Damian gave me something you never had with him. You hated that even in death, he left something behind that didn't include you. And now, there's nothing. Amy opened her mouth but no sound came out. What could she possibly say? Kane stood, voice low and deadly. You need to leave. Before I do something I'll regret. Amy nodded silently and turned away, walking out like a ghost. As she moved through the hospital corridor, she passed Amanda Sinclair, who had just arrived with a bouquet of white lilies. Their eyes met. Amanda didn't say anything, but the disapproval in her gaze was thunderous. Back home, Amy collapsed on the couch, consumed by silence. Her world was imploding. She had no one left. Damian was dead. Lily hated her. Nate could barely look at her. And Kane. Kane would probably make sure she paid for every ounce of pain she caused. Her phone buzzed. A text. From Sharon. Amy, I heard what happened. I'm praying for you, but you need help. This isn't something you can run from anymore. Amy threw the phone down. Sharon was right. She couldn't run. She had to face it. The grief, the shame, the loneliness. All of it. Days later, at the memorial Lily held for the unborn child, a small, private gathering with only close friends, Amy showed up at the very edge of the crowd. No one approached her. No one acknowledged her. She stood apart, wearing black, trembling, her eyes locked on the tiny plaque that read, Damian's light, forever loved, never forgotten. Lily never even glanced her way. And that was the moment Amy truly broke. Not when Lily lost the child. Not when Nate called her out. Not even when Kane threatened her with prison. It was seeing the memorial, knowing what could have been, a life, a future, a healing path, and realizing she had burned it all down with her own hands. Amy turned and walked away, unsure of where she was going, but knowing she would never be the same. Because no apology, no punishment, no forgiveness would ever give back what she had taken. And that truth would haunt her for the rest of her life. The aftermath of tragedy always feels heavier in the quiet moments, the ones when time doesn't move, when every breath feels like a punishment. Amy had never known this kind of silence before. The kind that screams louder than any argument, any blame, any guilt. Her footsteps echoed on the cracked sidewalk outside Lily and Kane's estate as she aimlessly walked through Genoa City. She didn't know why she ended up outside their house, some dark need to see the pain she had caused, maybe. But she didn't go near. She just stood at a distance, hands trembling, until the porch lights flickered on. She quickly turned away, heart racing, lungs barely able to pull in air. She couldn't face them. Not again. She had tried desperately to write an apology letter. She'd rewritten it 7 times, filled journals with her regret. But what could she say? Sorry I caused the death of your child. I didn't mean to destroy your lives. No words felt right. No sentence held the weight of what she had done. Back at her small apartment, Amy sat on the floor of her bedroom surrounded by remnants of a life she no longer recognized. Photos of her and Damian, from when they were close, when things were simple. She'd held on to those memories like they were precious stones, believing they meant something. But now, those memories mocked her. Damian was gone, and in trying to preserve his presence, she had destroyed his future. The truth was clearer than ever now. Amy hadn't just wanted to preserve Damian's memory. She had wanted to own it. She resented Lily for being a part of Damian's legacy in a way she never could. And in one blind, jealous moment, she had stripped Lily of her last connection to the man they both loved. A knock startled her. She jumped, quickly wiping her face before opening the door. To her surprise, it was Amanda. "Can I come in?" Amanda asked, her voice cool but calm. Amy hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Sure." Amanda walked in, her heels clicking sharply against the hardwood floor. She looked around the apartment, noting the disarray, the sleepless nights painted into every shadow. "I won't stay long," Amanda said. "But I needed to see you." Amy sat on the edge of the couch. "Is Lily okay?" Amanda's jaw tightened. "No. She's not. She lost a child, Amy. And she almost lost herself." Amy lowered her gaze. "I know. I haven't stopped thinking about it. I can't eat. I can't sleep." "That's because your conscience finally caught up to you," Amanda said bluntly. "You were reckless, and now you have to live with the consequences. But I came here to say something else." Amy looked up, eyes wide. "You need help. Real help. Therapy, grief counseling, something. This spiral you're in, it's only going to get worse." Amy's shoulders collapsed. "I don't even know where to begin." Amanda sighed, her voice softening. "Start by facing what you've done. Then ask yourself who you want to be moving forward. You don't have to rot in this guilt forever, but you do have to own it." Amy nodded, biting her lip to stop it from trembling. Do you think Lily will ever forgive me?" Amanda shook her head slowly. "Not today. Maybe not ever. But forgiveness doesn't start with her. It starts with you." She left without another word, and Amy sat there long after, staring at the closed door, wondering how she'd become the kind of woman that needed to earn the right to be forgiven. Meanwhile, Lily hadn't left her room in days. Kane had tried everything: meals, soothing music, reading to her, even just holding her hand in silence, but nothing broke through. She stared at the ceiling, unmoving, eyes vacant. Grief had carved her out, hollowed her soul. When she did speak, it was barely a whisper. "It should have been me." Kane leaned in. "Don't say that. You didn't do anything wrong." She turned her head, her face etched with despair. "I let my guard down. I believed I was safe. I let Amy get close." "This wasn't your fault," Kane said firmly. "You were ambushed. That wasn't your choice." "She hated me," Lily said bitterly. "I knew it. I felt it every time she looked at me. And I still tried to show her grace. I still tried to understand her grief for Damian." Kane sighed. "That's who you are, Lily. You try to see the best in people, even the ones who don't deserve it." She sat up slowly, eyes wet. "But our child is gone. Damian's child. What do I have left, Kane?" "You have me," he said gently, reaching for her hand. "You have your children, your family. And Damian would want you to live, Lily. Not just exist. Live." She burst into sobs then, burying her face into his chest. "I wanted this baby so badly. I wanted to feel like something good came out of all this pain." Kane held her tightly, his own tears falling silently. "You will have good things again. I swear to you, Lily. We're going to get through this." Elsewhere, Nate met with Devon and Nick at Crimson Lights. The incident had rippled through Genoa City like wildfire, and tensions were high. "She's not okay," Nate said quietly. "Neither of them are." Nick stirred his coffee. "I heard Amy hasn't left her apartment much. She's falling apart." "Yeah, well, she should," Devon snapped. "Lily's baby is gone because of her. This isn't just gossip or drama, this is real loss." Nick nodded grimly. "But what happens next? Does Lily press charges?" "I'm not sure she's ready to think about that," Nate said. She's still in shock. But Kane's furious. He's already met with an attorney. Good, Devon muttered. Amy should pay for what she did. Later that week, Amy took Amanda's advice. She walked into a therapist's office for the first time in her life. Her hands were shaking, her stomach twisted in knots, but she knew she couldn't keep drowning in this pit of shame. She sat across from Dr. Harriet Lewis, an older woman with soft eyes and a firm tone. They talked about grief, about Damian, about jealousy, about the moment everything shattered. You've described immense guilt, Dr. Lewis said. But what about responsibility? Do you believe you're responsible for the miscarriage? Amy hesitated, tears in her eyes. Yes. It was an accident, but it's my fault. I pushed her. She fell. She bled. That baby died. And what do you want now? Dr. Lewis asked. Amy stared down at her hands. I want to make it right. But I don't know if I ever can. Maybe not, Dr. Lewis said gently. But healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing a different path, every day, from here on. Lily finally returned home from the hospital the following week. The house felt different, too quiet, too full of shadows. Kane had packed away the baby things, per her request. She couldn't bear to look at the tiny clothes, the half-painted nursery, the ultrasound pictures. She walked into the nursery one night and just stood there. Her hands ran across the crib that would never hold her baby. She fell to her knees, silent sobs racking her body. Kane entered quietly and knelt beside her. You don't have to do this alone. I know, she whispered. But sometimes, I feel like I'm already alone, even with you here. I'm not going anywhere, he said. She looked at him with tear-streaked eyes. Then help me forgive. Help me survive this. A few days later, Amy received a letter. From Lily. It wasn't long. Just a few sentences, handwritten in delicate, careful strokes. I don't forgive you. Not now. Maybe not ever. But I see that you're suffering too. I don't wish more pain on you. I just want peace for both our sakes. Please stay away for now. I need space to heal. Amy clutched the letter to her chest and cried for hours. Not because she wasn't forgiven, but because Lily still had the grace to wish her peace. Even after everything. That was the moment Amy decided she had to change. Not for Damian. Not even for Lily. For herself. In the months that followed, Amy immersed herself in grief counseling. She volunteered at local shelters. She wrote an open letter to be published in the Genoa City Chronicle, an emotional, public acknowledgement of what she had done. She didn't use it to defend herself or to explain the tragedy away. She simply told the truth. And people talked. Some were furious, some sympathetic, most were stunned. But for Amy, it wasn't about what they thought. It was about accountability. She started walking the long road toward redemption, never expecting applause or forgiveness. Only hoping that one day, the weight of what she'd done might feel a little lighter. And Lily? Lily slowly began to find her footing again. Through therapy, family, and Kane's unwavering presence, she began to live again. She started a foundation in Damian's name to support parents who lost children. It was painful, yes, but it gave her purpose. And in giving back, she began to mend. She never forgot. She never would. But she endured. And sometimes, surviving was its own quiet form of grace. Winter arrived in Genoa City like a whisper, blanketing the town in silence and snow. The chill outside mirrored the frost that had settled in Amy's soul. But with each passing day, something inside her thawed slowly, painfully, but undeniably. She still awoke to the crushing guilt every morning, still saw Lily's anguished face in her dreams, but there were moments, fleeting, fragile moments, when she allowed herself to breathe. On one such morning, Amy stood in front of Chancellor Park, staring at the exact spot where her fight with Lily had shattered both their lives. She hadn't returned since that day. It felt sacred, somehow haunted by what was lost. She kneeled down and placed a single white rose on the ground, whispering to the wind. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Behind her, someone cleared their throat. Amy turned, startled. It was Sharon. She offered a gentle smile. I figured I'd find you here. Amy rose, brushing snow off her coat. I wasn't expecting anyone. I come here too, Sharon said. When I need to be still. They stood in silence for a moment before Amy spoke. Do you think people can truly change, Sharon? After something like this? Sharon looked up at the grey sky. I think people must change. Pain forces it. Grief demands it. But it's not about erasing what happened, it's about what you do with the pain. Amy nodded slowly. I'm trying. I really am. But there's not a day I don't wish I could trade places with that baby. You can't change the past, Sharon said softly. But you can honor it. By becoming someone who deserves forgiveness, even if you never receive it. Amy's eyes welled again. Lily wrote me. She said she didn't forgive me, but she didn't hate me either. I don't know how she found that kind of grace.